Welcome everyone on the panel and those joining us from around the globe for the Global Student Chat. Today, we once again join the Tweet and Talk for November on the topic vaping in schools. Let me give you an overview of the Global Student Chat. It is a student led chat that connects K 12 students worldwide to discuss topics and questions about character education, social justice, and citizenship. Global Student Chat creates opportunities for students to network with others, gain perspective, build relationships with new learning partners in literacy-rich environment. Experience social media as a powerful platform for learning and establish a positive digital footprint. Thank you once again for joining us. And I call upon Samantha to explain how to use our back channels to get involved with the conversation.
Thank you. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you may sign in with a Google account and use the chat to comment or ask a question. If you have X, formerly Twitter, follow the hashtag Global Student Chat and hashtag Media Lit Week to read the questions, thoughts, and questions shared by others. We'll use the Q1 or answer format. You can also participate on our Instagram account by responding to the posts. Use hashtag Global Student Chat and thinking and get involved in the conversation. Feel free to share your first name and where in the world you're joining from today. If you have questions, we will bring them to the panel. Please remember that the audience for this chat is K-12, so your comments and questions should be appropriate for all ages. I'd like to introduce our special guest, Sarah Ingram. So Sarah Ingram earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree from McMaster University and has been a registered nurse for 16 years. She has worked for 9 years as a public health nurse with a focus on child development and health promotion. She currently works for Huron Path Health on the social health team, providing support to Huron and Perth County schools using a comprehensive school health approach.
Thank you for introducing me. And hello to everybody.
How about we have a round of introductions? Samantha, we're going to go first.
Yeah, so my name's Samantha. I'm in Ontario at Cardinal Carter, and this is...
I'm Kabir. I'm also from Cardinal Carter in Ontario with Samantha.
That's really cool. Hi, I'm Namya Joshi. I'm a grade 11 student studying at Satpal Middle School in India, and this is my third year at the Global Student Chat. Really excited again for another tweet and talk. So, how about Victoria? You go next.
Hi, I'm Victoria, and I'm from Ontario, and I attend Cardinal Carter.
Hi, I'm Brianna, and I also attend Cardinal Carter.
I am Delaney, and I'm from Stikine Middle School in Wrangell, Alaska.
I'm Celia. I'm also from Stikine Middle School in Wrangell, Alaska.
And so I'm located in Ontario as well, in a little town called Clinton. So that's where I'm talking from today, right from the office. And so I work in public health, which just means in school health, which means I go to classrooms and talk about different health topics. And sometimes we do presentations on vaping, which is part of our conversation today.
Okay, so before we get started, let's go over some norms. We will have 30 minutes to discuss 3 questions. Please be mindful that this chat is open from students in K to 12. Active participation from all classes is how we learn. All comments made during this chat should be positive and productive. We welcome diverse opinions. You may not agree with something someone has said, but we ask that when challenging an idea that you respectfully disagree with the idea, not the individual person. Being respectful online includes using language that is inclusive and culturally appropriate. Now I'm going to hand it over to Delaney to introduce our questions.
Okay, so for our first question is, why do people start vaping?
I think that is a really important question because there's always a reason, something starts from one single point. And I've always, believed in this thing that the greatest prison people live in is the fear of what other people think. And peer pressure, what I believe is truly is what defines this statement. Peer pressure and societal factors can influence the choice, to begin vaping. if we have, our friends or peers surrounding us who are vaping, then people may be more tempted to attempt it themselves. And peer pressure impacts the initiation stage of vaping, with many feeling pushed to use e-cigarettes because of social forces. And also, I think when it comes to peer pressure, it basically is overshadowed by a desire to blend in with the classmates who vape so that we don't feel left out. And individuals, I'd say particularly teens, they want to experiment this just to make themselves look cool and never feel left out, and not go through the bullying and all that people go through if they're not doing something the people around them are doing. And is basically summing up the entire thing, that the environment you live in and the company that you keep is what shapes you. So if you have an environment around you where you have people doing such things, I think it influences you as well at some point if you're not alert enough to start vaping.
So, Brianna and I decided to get the most accurate information by interviewing 20 students from each grade level, 9 through 12, who actually use the substance within our school community. So, the top two reasons why people began vaping in grade 12 and 11 was because of trying it and getting addicted. And this could simply be because of the flavors and the taste. And another reason why was because they wanted a way to deal with stress. A way that was available for them. So stress in school, sports, and at home. The second, so for grade 9s and 10s, it was because they wanted to fit in and thinking it was cool, and peer pressure. So this kind of proves that people feel that they need to vape in order to assimilate into the high school community. And that's like an easy way for them to make friends. And again, like peer pressure, like was mentioned before.
I completely agree. I think that there's not like one reason that encompasses all of the reasons why people start. I actually have friends that have vaped, and they said they started because of their mental health. So, like Victoria sort of said, because of stresses, but also because of things like anxiety, maybe relationships at home, or going south, or family members. Maybe there's fights, things like that. But also peer pressure. I agree with that one. I think that since so many people do it, it's kind of normalized it in the school community.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I really want to expand on the point that Namia was saying in the beginning about peer pressure, because I think it's not exactly what people envision as peer pressure. When somebody thinks of peer pressure, they think of being forced into it directly. But I really believe that the environment of everybody doing it, or a lot of people doing it that it makes you feel uncomfortable that you're not fitting in, that you're not doing it. So I think that's an important thing to note, is that when people say that they're peer pressured into it, it's really that they didn't feel comfortable in the environment that they were in, and they just wanted to fit in.
Those are all great points. That's similar to what we have found in our research in public health. We have a survey that our high schools do called the Compass Survey, and it asks. Last year, it asked a question about why people started vaping, and people often responded curiosity, because it's something new, and there's always a new product constantly coming out. So maybe it's about trying something new, to relieve stress, to get nicotine, and they said they liked the flavors. So that's kind of interesting. But one point that I'd like everyone to maybe go around and think about again is, why would you choose not to vape?
I think a big reason that I would choose not to vape is I know it's bad for me. I know the side effects of it. I know you can get addicted. I know the smoke, even though it's not the same as cigarettes, it's still not good for your lungs. It's not good for your body. And I never found the need for it. A lot of people have different reasons for it, curiosity. And I guess that maybe has come up once or twice, or maybe they want to use it as a coping mechanism, but I've never really felt the need to use a vape.
And what scares me is that we don't really know the long-term effects. Maybe we know some, but we don't know all of them, and that really scares me. So I wouldn't try that.
Yeah, that's so true. They're more new, aren't they? So we don't know the long-term effects. What does everybody else think?
I feel like it can't be that pleasant to like be inhaling things into your lungs, especially like vapor. Like, it's not just water, but it is got water in it. It does have water in it. And, like, having that in your lungs doesn't sound pleasant. Same thing with smoking. Like, it would hurt, in my opinion. I don't think that would feel good at all. And it doesn't relieve stress. It creates stress. I probably sound like those ads all over Snapchat and stuff, but like, it's true.
It's very true. Yeah, because then in the long term, once you get addicted to the nicotine, then it's causing you stress because you constantly are thinking about how you need to do it again. You need to vape again. So it's actually causing more stress in the long run. Yeah.
So I definitely agree with what you guys have all been saying, but we need to look at it from other people's perspectives as a way that people deal with stress in different ways. So the reason why we don't vape is because we've been given different methods of dealing with our stress because we're in high school. So we obviously are going to be having obstacles and facing obstacles, but the way to overcome them, there's positive ways to do that. So we don't need a result. Like, we don't need to turn to vaping to deal with our issues, which is why I think that it should be something that's shown, and like resources should be given to those people who do vape because they need to find different methods to cope with their issues.
Why I think people start vaping is that it goes along with the whole it will go another stress and pressure, because another reason how they could start vaping is because if they might be experiencing past trauma or whatever, and so they'll try and vape to get rid of that pressure when it adds more to that pressure because of the addiction to that nicotine and stuff. And as you're breathing in toxins from that vape, and in the ads it says you'll breathe in metal like zinc, lead, nickel, all those other harmful metals, and it'll go to your lungs. And I think it's bad to have metal in your lungs, and it could affect you really fatally.
Even I agree with all of the points that everybody mentioned here, like stress management using vaping. I don't think that should be the best thing because, like, even if you're addicted to something, I think that's really wrong. So, a reason that somebody should never even, choose to do vaping, because I think if it's the flavors or something like that, getting like, addicted to something is wrong. Like, I think that's going to cause you problems in the future. Like, it's basically you cannot live without it, and actually, I think even vaping can create more stress because if you're addicted to something and if you're not able to do it, you'll actually feel more stressed. So it's better than to explore alternatives such as exercising, doing meditation, therapy, and playing sports just to relieve your stress, reading books. So just try to find some other ways, talk to people to reduce your stress levels.
Thank you. Those are all really good positive coping strategies. So we asked a classroom why they had maybe decided not to vape or why they would not vape. And they had some other suggestions as well. They talked about they were into sports and they didn't want it to affect their sports performance. Some wanted, they were trying really hard to get into college or university and really focusing on their grades, and they didn't want it to affect their performance at school. Some said they didn't want to get in trouble. And then some others said that they had family members or friends who they saw having a really hard time quitting either vaping or smoking, and they didn't want to go through that themselves. So some other possibilities too. Thanks, guys. Maybe we should move on to the next question.
Okay, so for our second question is, what factors influence people's opinion on vaping and those who vape?
Yeah, so I think there are many factors that can affect people's opinion, or at least my personal opinion on vaping. But I think the biggest two or three is family, so parents and siblings, the environment that you put yourself in, so friends, and school staff, school admission, the way school perceives vaping, because we're in those environments the most. For me, the environment that you put yourself in, if you have a group of friends who vape often, you're going to be exposed to that. You're going to be exposed to what they think about vaping. It might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing. But when it comes to family, your family should really be encouraging your moderation throughout your life about everything you do. Like with my father, at least, he encourages moderation with everything. When I'm eating food, he says, you have to be moderate. The amount of chocolate you're eating, you have to be moderate. So that gets ingrained in my brain, even for things like that are totally unrelated, such as vaping. So obviously, when I think about vaping, even if I were to vape, I would definitely think about doing it in moderation. But the main factors that would affect my thoughts on vaping would be family and the environment that I put myself in.
And I completely agree with that. Definitely family and teachers and those sort of people that guide you. I feel like a lot of people that are adults would tell you not to do it because of all the health hazards that has to do with it. But I feel like there's two types of people when it comes to that situation. There's like the rebellious kids who are like, you know what, they told me not to do it. I'm going to do it. I just want to try it just to rebel them. And there's the people that are like, you know what, this really scares me. I'm not going to do this. But I think another factor too is social media, because I've seen two completely different sides to that just coming up on my For You page or my feed in TikTok or Instagram. There's a side of, like, if you follow a celebrity that you really idolize and you see them vaping, you might think, you know what, they do this, I'm going to try this too. I want to be cool like them, But there's also another side. I saw this TikTok one day on my For You page. It was this man in a hospital, and he had a tube in his throat. I don't know what it's called, but it was helping him breathe. And the only thing he said in that short clip was, "Don't vape, guys." So that really scared me.
So another factor that can influence people's opinion on vaping, education and awareness about the components of vaping and its potential health effects, and also social norms. If vaping is widely accepted or frowned upon in a particular social circle, individuals may align their views accordingly. For example, the teenage demographic has accepted vaping, causing it to be commonly used within our society.
Yeah, I agree with all the points that you all have mentioned. I think even the available knowledge also on probably social media or scientific studies, people reading about the hazards and advantages of vaping, it basically is able to tune their opinions if it is a good or a bad thing. And even the way it is portrayed in news stories, in movies, in ads, can also shape our opinion. Also, I think when it comes to even government restrictions and policies, they have a really good impact on the public opinion. So the stricter restrictions, they can foster more instilling mindset in people regarding what is wrong about vaping. But even if it's lenient, people will not understand why is it a wrong thing. So if there are stricter regulations, then people will understand the importance of not doing vaping and how it is a hazard for us in the future. And also if it comes with individual experiences, like we have a person who's done vaping and has gone through wrong things and has basically affected their life. So listening from their perceptions, from their anecdotes, can also help us learn that why we should not do it and what are the positive negative effects. And also, like you mentioned about the family, the friends, the peers, and their opinions can also be powerful. Also, you also mentioned about the education side of it. So the more we're having more public health campaigns or education efforts to provide information about the risks about vaping and what are the side effects of it, what is it made of, can also basically shape our opinion. So listening to both the sides, I think we can understand why one should not vape and what exactly can basically hinder in the future for our goals.
Do you want to go? Okay.
You could like be in like a friend group with like people who vape, and then that could make you like, oh, I like these people. These people are good people. So therefore vaping is good. Or you could be in like a friend group that has like people who despise vaping, and then like you'd be like trying to jump on the bandwagon with that friend group. Be sorry. Be like, I hate vaping. Vaping is bad. But it kind of just depends on the people you surround yourself with. Like, is it normalized in your school for people to be vaping? because like at our school it's not as much of a normal thing as in a lot of other places. But like, yeah.
I agree. So the factors for the vapes and stuff, um, though this goes along with the whole like removing the pressure when you vape, but like um they'll think it's an easy way to deal with stress, um, and um, and how people like what she said was like the people you surround yourself with, and another thing could be that a family member might vape, and you think, oh hey, if this person that I know vapes, then might as well um do it too.
Like vape to fit in with them.
Yeah, and it that's all I have to say. I got nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Those are all good points. So yeah, we feel a lot of pressures from family or friends or society at large, and whether like our societal norms. So it would be very interesting to go country to country and see what different regulations have changed the norms around vaping, to see the rates, how that changes the rates of vaping, and like what sort of things are taught in the education system, to see how that has had an effect. In Ontario, we at first knew nothing really about vapes, right? We just knew that people were starting to use them. We didn't know what was in the juice. We didn't know what harms it would cause, and people were doing it because the ads, the industry was making it look really cool. They had bright, colorful ads. They had celebrities doing it. They had influencers on social media doing it. And it really had a huge impact on youth. And then they started having all the different flavors and made it seem like it was pretty harmless, right? It's like reality versus fantasy, when the fantasy being that it's something really cool and it's safe to try, and then the reality being it's not safe to try and it's going to have some long-term effects. So I think it sounds like you guys have learned a lot, just like we have, about the realities around vaping, and that it can be addictive and harmful in various ways. So I think in the long run, what will influence us is learning more about it. Yeah. Okay, so we got one more question to try to answer before we're done here.
Okay, so for our third and last question, um, how do you think schools can ensure younger students don't start vaping?
So, vaping is proven to be a prevalent issue within high schools, especially for individuals that are transitioning into high school. We interviewed 80 Cardinal Carter students, and 54 of them claimed they did not know the long term effect of vaping. When asking the other 26 students the long term effects of vaping, the majority could only reveal that vaping could damage your lungs. Although lung damage is the main long term effect of vaping, there are so many other diseases that can occur when using the substance. Schools need to start teaching their students about the actual effects of vaping. They need to go into detail of what can occur to one's body. I personally have not had a lesson about the effects of vaping since elementary school. So the truth of vaping needs to be revealed to students so we can avoid ignorance involving the consumption of the substance. Not only should there be vaping related lectures, but interactive games, trivia, and so many other activities should take place within schools to inform students. For example, as president and vice president of Cardinal Carter's OSED, we are working towards putting together an interactive anti vaping escape room with multiple activities dealing with the truth behind vaping.
Those are some really good points. I completely agree with you. I also think, well, okay, right now in our school, I don't know about other schools, but in Cardinal Carter, there's signs everywhere that it says no vaping in the washroom. That obviously doesn't stop people. But I think we can sort of scare people into not vaping. For example, I remember when I was in grade 7, my history teacher had a poster up on his wall, and half the lung was black, and it was from a heavy smoker or vapor, and the other half was someone who's never smoked or vaped in their entire life, and that really scared me into never doing it. So I think we should put those kind of posters up.
Yeah, I completely agree with Samantha. I was going to say something very similar, actually. I was going to say that there's no true way to ensure that there's no vaping. It's really hard to really ensure that. But I think that there's many tactics that you can use. So, for an example, in our school, we have random check-ins by our staff and VPs in our washrooms. They've removed doors on certain bathrooms that are larger and do a lot of vaping so that it's easy to check before the students, hide their vapes away. But I think a really big thing is, like Victoria was saying and Samantha was saying, we can mix them together and have really detailed sessions and information sessions about the negative effects of vaping with using images and visual imagery to show the negative side effects. But I feel like visuals really connect with students, or at least me, it affects me. So seeing, the side effects of vaping on somebody's lung will definitely ensure or at least help stop vaping.
Truly, I agree with all the points that have been mentioned. And I really like the point of the visual way to understand, because I think students love to learn, I think, even in the classroom, or accept information when they actually see it. So when you can see what is going to happen to you if you do something that's wrong, you'll actually understand. And if I talk about my opinion, how schools can ensure younger students don't start this. So they can, of course, organize workshops and presentations, about how vaping can lead to different health-related issues. It can have, real life stories can have significant impact on students. I think also something that our school has also done usually, for different topics is, engaging parents through information sessions and workshops, because there always has to be encouraging open communication between parents and children about the risk of vaping and importance of staying vape free. So I think even encouraging the parents to ask their students, the children, if they need anything, or having basically an open conversation with them, so the children feel more comfortable talking to the parents if they don't. And of course, I think when I talked about the workshops, you can also have more younger people, as mentors to younger ones, sharing their information. So because I think we don't relate much to, because I've seen in our schools, we don't relate much to 30-year-old people coming to give out workshops in our school. But if it's somebody of our own age, then I think we can relate much to that, because they're just a little bit older than us and have a lot to share to us, which we can learn from. And of course, ensuring the school staff, including teachers, admins, are very well informed about the vaping trends, the risks, and how we can prevent it as well. Because I think the school staff, the parents, and everybody that is, around us, who shape our life in a good way, are having a very crucial role to play, so that, they can address these vaping related issues to make sure that we are free from that and we can lead a healthy and happy life.
Um, I don't think it's in our school because it's a much smaller school, but some of the bigger schools on the nearby islands have like vape detectors in the bathrooms and other popular vape spots. And they can sort of like smell the vape when it happens. The only downside is that sometimes if kids have parents who like vape at home or like older siblings, then the scent could be like on their clothes, and then the vape detector would go off and wrongfully accuse them of vaping. So there has to be like new ways to like sense it without getting innocent kids in trouble.
I agree. So another way teachers can um, bring the topic of vape is to tell some students or class or whatever about vapes and how it tricks you into thinking that it relieves stress and you're just putting like
Chemicals.
yeah yeah like as I said, nickel, lead, zinc, and other harmful metals in your body, and yeah, that's all I have to
Like
say.
you're literally inhaling toxic chemicals, including addictive ones. So instead of relieving stress, it's causing stress by being like, "Oh God, what am I gonna get another hit? Like, what if I get caught?" And then like it's just more stressful when you're addicted.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is more education on the harms of vaping for sure. And we also already talked about how positive coping strategies might help prevent people from starting in the first place. So maybe more teaching on positive coping strategies and coping with mental health issues. Um, and also teaching all the different ways that substances, not just vapes, can impact our mental health in negative ways and our physical health. So in public health, we always focus on prevention. So we have done lots of different education in schools. And what we're finding is just teaching about the harms is not enough. You also need to do those positive coping strategies, but also social skills. Because like what you're saying before, like some of the times it's to do with it's an easy way to make friends. Well, what are other easy ways to make friends that we can teach about or provide opportunities in schools so that there's there's other opportunities to make friends. It's not relying on vaping with friends. Makes sense. Um, yeah, so I think we need to summarize. Does anybody have anything else to add before we do our summary?
I would like to add that how I love how everyone had points and gave reasons of why vaping is bad, um, and it's just seeing that this group cares. Well, mostly a lot of people care, but like seeing how ways that to show the truth of vape and show people that we're vaping um, and and educate them on that vaping is bad
Mm.
and you could change you the way um, your how you progress in life, whatnot. It could be from just mildly to majorly fatal change. So that's all I'm gonna have to say from there.
Yeah, one thing we didn't talk about was how it's actually illegal for anybody under 19 to, like in Ontario anyways, it's illegal for anyone under 19 to vape or to sell vape products to somebody under 19 years of age. Um, so there can be repercussions that way too, right? You can be charged, you can have to go to court. So there's lots of different ways it can affect us. Good point.
Absolutely. Like it said, your craving is temporary, but the damage to your lung is permanent. So, we just have to make sure that we're not going towards the side that is going to lead us to a downfall on a path that we have, might have thought about to reach to success, but just one small thing that we may get addicted to, but you just towards the wrong side. So, thank you everyone for joining us today. Special thanks to our guest expert today, Miss Sarah Ingram. And if you wish to join our social media ambassador program, you can, of course, look out for Global Student Chat because we're always seeking for new student social media ambassadors. This information can be found on globaledsschat.com. And we're always looking for students who excel or looking to grow their digital leadership skills. Please keep the conversation going by answering our slow chat for the rest of the month. Be sure to use the hashtag Global Student Chat hashtag so our team can interact with you. Please follow us and connect with us on our social media website globaledsschat.com X or Twitter, @Global Student Chat, Instagram, @Global Student Chat. All of our live chats are available on our YouTube channel. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope to see you on the next month on December 12th at 1 p.m. EST. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
everyone.